this week's episode of Beyond the Broomstick, the podcast that opens up the opportunities and possibilities that spirituality can bring to your everyday life, whilst removing some of the woo-woo that we see on social media these days. Welcome, and if we haven't met before, my name is Matilda and I am a professional psychic medium here in Australia. I started this podcast really to open people's eyes into what ethical and evidential mediumship should look like and what you should expect when you have a reading. So many people pretending to be psychic mediums on social media, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about the ethics and bringing peace to people. I've seen some things this week that are quite disturbing, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on in the podcast, together with some information about how different religions view the afterlife and what happens to us after we die. I thought that might be a nice context considering what I'm going to talk about. As always, I will give my shout out to all the paid Patreon, all the new paid Patreon supporters this week. It's amazing. People are so supportive. And if you don't know what my Patreon is, you can go along to the show notes. The link is there. You can join for free. There is some free content there for you. But most of my extra predictions, extra podcast episodes, Q&As and that sort of thing are all behind a paywall, purely because I get trolled so much on social media. I like to keep it that way. And at the end of the episode, as always, I will be giving some of my extra predictions for the coming weeks. So let's talk about my new paid Patreon members. Wow. Thank you, everyone that does subscribe. It makes this possible. It makes the extra content possible. I am always incredibly grateful. And this is your shout out. So thank you, Alexa Scott, Jen, Kim, Kristen Murchison, Shell Quinn, Kelly Pickard, Fiona Lane, Susan Murphy, Donna, Bethany Wynn, Dot, Danielle Frank, who has signed up for a yearly amount, and Leonie. Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your support. It really is invaluable to me, and I hope you're enjoying the content that is on Patreon. Talking of which, don't forget that there is a new tier, which is all about if you do work in the metaphysical space, supporting each other, helping you grow, and really promoting each other's businesses. It should be an interesting group once we get it up and running. It's been a really busy week. It's been really hard to be motivated this week. I don't know about anybody else, but the energy has felt very heavy. I have struggled with tiredness, I'm not going to lie, which is unusual for me because usually I will get up and go. But this week I've really struggled with tiredness. I've had a virus, which meant that I actually had to cancel one of my days of readings, which will all be rescheduled and rebooked during this week, which is my content week. But it's just been quite gnarly, the energy. Has anyone else felt that? Because I do get affected by the energy. I'm a medium. It is what it is. There has been some more solar storms, which affects it. But I've just felt as if all I've wanted to do is sleep. And obviously with the virus that happens, but I didn't actually get sick until Saturday. So I don't know what was going on before, but yeah. And then I had both of my boys here yesterday. So today's Tuesday. I usually record on a Tuesday morning. Monday, both of my boys arrived here just after 8 o'clock to move some furniture. Well, not some furniture, some storage that I had in the garage, clean out my garage and put new storage units together, which is going to help me keep it a bit more organised. And they're going to come back today and take some stuff to the tip. And also move my formal living room around. This is a funny story that I ordered a television, or I asked my youngest son to order me a television. I said, I really like your TV and the size of it. Can you order me the same? Here's my card. And he organised it for me, and it arrived. And I looked at it and went, oh my God, that is huge. That is absolutely ginormous. I hadn't even unboxed it at this point, and I could not physically move it myself. Many of you know I am waiting for surgery. I go into surgery in September to have, I actually don't know what I'm having yet because the MRI is this month. I've had previous spinal surgery, and the CT is showing 4 herniated discs with one of my nerves in the lower, the S1, L5, the nerve is open or something like that. So once the MRI comes along, I'll know what I need. It's probably just a repair of the old surgery. Anyway, couldn't move this TV myself. And my son came over to set it up with me, and it was pretty obvious that it was the wrong size. And he apologised and said, I think I've got the smaller one. I mistook the size. So I've got this giant TV in my formal lounge room, and it just looked ridiculous. It was, there was just no breathing space. So I made the decision, although he did offer to swap it for his, I made the decision to move my formal lounge room around, which involved unpacking and moving and repacking 4 giant bookcases. So my lovely boys came and did that for me yesterday as well. I did make them breakfast. It's great to have sons. They are very attentive. They are very thoughtful of me, and they know that I am incapacitated. And I don't have a problem having to pay for people to help me or do things that I am unable to do at the moment, but they do step up, which is lovely. And also, my ex-husband even took me grocery shopping the other day because I can't push the cart. So that was good. I had a lot of help this weekend. Anyway, I'm back to my normal chirpy self, and hopefully all of you have escaped the funky energy that has been going around as well, because it has been a little bit yucky. So however you are listening to me, whether you are listening to me out on your morning walk, because a lot of people tell me you listen to me whilst you're out for a walk, or folding your laundry, or in the car, thank you. I do appreciate you listening and paying attention. So Beyond the Broomstick, There's a Very podcast, is currently listened to in 31 countries and territories and 680 cities. I can't thank you guys enough. The fact that you love listening week after week really warms my heart, and I hope that you continue to enjoy for a long time. So today I really want to talk about, there's a couple of things. Authenticity and showing up authentically is really important. Now, by that, I mean standing by what you do, whether that be a psychic, a medium, a healer, a tarot card, etc. But what I want to warn against is this. I've seen a lot of readers on TikTok. I actually like watching other readers work because it gives me such a good indication on delivery and things like that. John Edward is one of my favourites. Watching him deliver his readings has really helped me. It doesn't help with the receiving of the information because that's on me, but the delivery and how to do so eloquently and authentically is really important. Very sadly, I have seen a couple of readers lately who are letting their own conditioning, life conditioning, seep through in the information that they're passing on to people. Now remember, we've got an audience. Whether you've got 10,000, 20,000, 5 or 1 million people, your audience rely on you to bring them authentic information. Being a psychic medium, working with the afterlife is very unique. And if we let our social conditioning, the way that we were brought up, our external belief system impact that, then we cannot deliver authentic information. And somebody very recently did a reading for someone and did a public reading for someone. I don't know whether it was on a podcast or a radio station or just on their TikTok, because I don't watch this person. If I don't like a reader or their information, I will block them because their energy makes me feel icky. This particular person did a reading, and they were doing a reading for somebody whose sister had been unalived. So they had been taken in a very traumatic and violent manner. And the sister who was having the reading was told that their loved one was basically in purgatory and stuck on the earth plane. Their spirit was stuck. And they were traumatized. And can you just imagine losing somebody that you love and being told that? I'd like to counteract this by saying I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of readings. I have undergone mentorship. I have talked to thousands and thousands of authentic, real mediums, and I have never come across this information. Never. And I have read for the victims' families, victims that have been murdered. And it is just not true. This is where our beliefs when we grow up, our religious beliefs, seep through the information that we are given from the afterlife. And this is when inauthenticity happens, when somebody hasn't undergone mentorship or may actually even not be a real medium. Now, I know this particular person. I have actually gone onto their website and researched, and they do ask for names, photographs, dates of birth, both of you and your loved one you're trying to connect with. None of that information is needed prior to a reading. And the damage that can be done when we allow our beliefs or our egoic self to step in instead of giving true information from the spirit world is very, very damaging. I can't stress enough that if you are in the early stages of understanding, either as a medium or somebody that does have readings, that we don't need any information. We get given it by spirit. And secondly, there is no such thing as an earthbound spirit. Now, irrespective of your individual religious beliefs or your individual social conditioning that you have grown up with, that just isn't a thing. And us to put our ego into a reading is incredibly wrong. When we choose to work as a medium, we must clear our mind completely. And every single word, every single message must come directly from the spirit stepping forward. And that also includes our psychic readings when we're dealing with our spirit guides. But if you choose to do this work, religion should never come into it. I have also watched as another medium, and I have talked about this particular person on my social media because she is an abomination as far as I'm concerned. I've never mentioned her name and I won't. But I have seen when she claims to find missing people, and she gave information to a family about where their loved one was, and they didn't find the person in that area, but they did find them a couple of days later, and she was pushing them to give her the accolades and to make a public post. Now, I'm talking about within hours of finding their loved one. And her response was, well, your brother hates you and calls you a load of druggies and says that you're a disgrace. Now, I just want to put everyone's mind at ease that spirit is pure love, irrespective of their religious beliefs, irrespective of the relationship that you may have with them when they pass, whether that relationship is good or bad at the time of their passing. Spirit is pure love. They come through with no evil intent, no wish to punish, no wish to make somebody feel bad or look bad, no wish to utter appalling diatribe. That information was purely that particular medium's own ego and opinion. Something that we should never ever have when we are doing a reading. So just let that sink in. That as a family who had lost a loved one in terrible, terrible ways, and the body of their loved one was missing, she chose to abuse them because she wasn't being credited with finding them. Our own opinion of anybody it just doesn't matter. Your loved one, once they pass, irrespective of how they pass, whether it's a shock passing, whether it's a traumatic passing, whether they have been sick for a long time, and whether they pass when they were young or old, they leave their physical body and their spirit remains and goes through to the afterlife. But they come through and will surround you with pure love. The end of. So please remember that when you are looking to seek a mediumship reading of any sort. We can't always control who comes forward, and sometimes your ex-father-in-law will pop forward and say, hey, where's my beer? Or something like that. But we should always be able to give you the evidence of who we are connected to. And irrespective of how someone passes, they're not suffering. They are not walking around this earth. And that particular medium also said that if somebody is murdered, that until their killer is found and punished, that they will continue to walk this earth. That is not true. It is 1,000,000% not true. Nobody deserves to hear those words, those damaging, horrendous words. And on that note, I'm going to talk now a little bit. It's always interested me about different religions and theology, about how other religions see the afterlife. And I've explained this before, that although I grew up in a Catholic household, it was a bit of a mix because my father was Catholic and my mum was Protestant. And I always found it really weird because neither church would marry them because, mixed. It's a mixed marriage. Yeah. So neither church would marry them, so they got married in a registry office. And I don't disagree with religion, and I will never put another religion down because faith is called faith for a reason. It is important for people to have faith in something. But I've always believed in the afterlife. I've always had this sense of knowing, and knowing that I saw my first spirit when I was very young. Sort of the pieces of a puzzle got put together for me. I have a problem with organised religion, and that's my problem. That is not your problem. That is not someone that has a readings with me problem. It is mine, and I will never bring religion into a reading unless someone from the afterlife mentions it. And I always try very, very hard to, well, actually I don't have to try very hard because it actually comes naturally to me, explain the fact that whatever somebody's religious belief is, when you turn to someone that is a spiritualist, someone that is a medium, we are still able to bring someone forward for you because they choose to do it. Your loved one is the one that chooses to step forward. But I just thought it would be an interesting thing to talk about when we look at different religions. And the first one, obviously, is Christianity, because it's, people claim Christianity as their religion, and I suppose somewhere I am Christian. Somewhere. I think that was my upbringing also I choose to have. With Christianity, hell always stands at that cautionary destination. It's always held over people. If you don't behave in a certain way, you're going to go to hell. All of those things. And within Christianity, the final resting place of a soul is contingent upon faith. And a lot of people still find it very, very difficult when I say that irrespective of how somebody passes, when they move to the afterlife, they are all together, or what their behaviour was like on the earth plane. There is no differentiarity, I don't know, lost a word there, between heaven and hell. Because the actual act of passing to the other side, you get to review your life and let go of those egoic things that cause you to behave in a certain way. And the fact that so many people still say, but I want to know that there's a heaven and hell, because what's the point in doing the right thing? The point of doing the right thing is to do the right thing. I have watched in abject horror the incredible dichotomy and the incredible, I've lost a word again, about how many Christians, and I'm not talking about the everyday ones, I'm talking about a lot of them that preach it, behave or treat other people of a different belief system, sexuality, behaviour, try and control, the hypocrisy of Christianity, where within spirituality we are all equal. And if you have to have hell as a fear to do the right thing, then maybe you should rethink things. Again, I'm not judging anyone for spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs. That's totally up to you. And I think that you can believe in a Christianity but still believe in the afterlife. So that is what Christianity believes, that there is a difference between heaven and hell. Islamic teaching, too, presents the dualistic vision of the afterlife, heaven, and I think it's called Jannah, and hell, which is Jahannam. Those who lived under the Quran maintained faith in Allah and performed commendable deeds to find solace in Jannah, or heaven, a place that is full of peace and beauty. Where hell awaits those that defy God's teachings, yet Islam has incredibly strict teachings for different sexes. Hinduism and Buddhism are very similar in their thought pattern, and insofar as they believe in the concept of a ceaseless life, birth, death and rebirth. Hinduism, however, believes in a current life, the actions of karma that you have sought or built up, conditions, and it's how you get your status in your next life. That's not something that I believe in, but it's very interesting. The goal is to meet moksha, which signifies a soul's freedom from the recurring cycle and ushering you into an eternal tranquility. Buddhism has a very similar belief system where it also acknowledges the cycle of samsara, yet the end goal is to be in nirvana, a state of ceaseless all suffering and desires. You must reach the end of your samsaric cycle to get to that point. But their belief is that to get to that point, you must encompass the profound truths about life combined with the practices of kindness, mindfulness, and proper conduct. And that's an interesting concept. Judaism, the perspectives on the afterlife are really diverse and multifaceted. While certain scriptures do touch upon the existence of heaven, Gan Eden, and hell, Gehennon, and I apologise, I can't say that very well, a significant emphasis within the Jewish faith remains on leading a purposeful, ethical life in the present. This often manifests in performing mitzvot and good deeds and focusing on earthly responsibilities. Atheism, which again is, a lot of people claim atheism. I don't think they actually understand what it is. I think more people are agnostic than they are atheists. Through atheism doesn't align with any religious teaching, its perspective on the afterlife is worth noting. Generally, atheists don't subscribe to beliefs or deities or a place to go after dying. They often view death as the cessation of consciousness or existence. The perspective underscores the significance of impermanence of life on earth, prompting a focus on the present. Which is really interesting because I've actually done readings for a lot of people that say that they are atheists, yet they come to me for readings about the afterlife. So that's why I say that many people claim to be atheists but don't quite understand exactly what it means. Agnostics. Similar to atheism, agnostics do not belong to a particular religion. They don't reject the idea of God, but they also acknowledge that they don't know what the afterlife holds or whether God exists. They might also be seen as a skeptic or someone who has a hard time believing in any particular religion. As such, the afterlife may feel like even more of a mystery to them than someone who is an atheist or part of a religion. I think it's really interesting that many religions still hold on to, or obviously they're ancient religions, so of course they still hold on to them, but they hold on to that concept of heaven and hell. And the fact that they have to have hell held over them for a fear, and that's where you're going to end up if you do the wrong thing. But how many people actually live by that? Have we seen the right-wing Christians lately and the way that they hold that concept of hell over people, yet they are the first to judge anybody for their choices? Is it that we hold on to that ideal of heaven or hell because we want other people to pay for their sins on this earth, and that we can't quite understand that when we move to the afterlife, we no longer hold on to the egotistical side that makes us sin? It's food for thought. Is it our own limited beliefs and thinking that keep the idea of hell alive? But as I said, the thing that led me into this and to investigate the different constructs and the different beliefs of the afterlife within different religions is around those that are spiritual readers, advisors, and mediums still holding on to what they were brought up with, using religion in their readings, using what is written, using their own conditioning to put fear and hurt people that have lost loved ones. Our job is to bring peace, not to do harm. So please try and remember that when you are giving your readings to people. My understanding through the thousands of readings that I have done is that the afterlife is a beautiful place. That, yes, we do reincarnate and can take multiple bodies, but a part of our spirit remains. And we can be in multiple places at once. I have often been able to recount conversations that people have had just before their reading, purely by their loved one telling me what's going on in their life. So know that your loved ones are at peace, that they are not suffering, irrespective of how they passed and what happened to them. They are no longer in pain, they are at peace, and they are pure love. I know sometimes that's hard to understand when we've lost somebody that we may have had a difficult relationship with, but do know that your loved ones do come through in pure love. And that today is the end of the episode today. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to give you a couple of predictions that I have had in recent days, just to give you just a bit of a heads up. I don't always put all of my predictions on social media. I do share them on Patreon a little bit more, and I try and do a little bit more in-depth information on Patreon. So what I have been shown is there are going to be legal proceedings against MGT. I see that coming in later in the year, but there are definite legal proceedings coming against her. The Irish election that's coming up, I feel it's going to be a difficult one because I feel like it's going to be very, very close. But I think it's going to go more to the right than the left, which obviously you're never going to please everyone. But I feel like it's going to move quite a bit to the right, and people are going to be pleased with it to a certain extent until things start filtering down. So I'm not going to say that's going to be the best move for Ireland at the moment. And the other thing I am being shown is the United Kingdom. I'm seeing some disruption in the centre of London during July. It could be August, but during July and August, it feels like there's going to be a heightened military presence. Could be a police presence, but I feel like they may have foiled an attack of some sort. So if you are out and about in central London, just keep your wits around you. But I'm being shown more of like a heightened, uniformed presence in that area. Weather-wise, I do want to talk a little bit more in depth, and I will do a video on my Patreon about this. There is going to be quite a lot of high winds and water-based weather. That could be hurricanes heading early to the Florida coast. Don't ask me which side of Florida because I don't get that sort of information at this stage. But a lot of that is coming in, and I do think that New York is going to be hit by a hurricane this year. So I wish I could bring better news, but that's what I'm being shown. I also think that there is going to be a sighting of Princess of Wales, Kate, the Princess of Wales, in the background at an event. I don't think she's in the foreground. I think it's in the background. And I've seen a lot of people talking about her being overseas for treatment. I don't think that's true. I'll be honest with you. I am not being shown it. Now, if she is choosing to go overseas for treatment, then fair enough. But those that keep asking me about her, she is simply being a mother who has been diagnosed with cancer and is having treatment and looking after herself and her family. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will see you next week. In the meantime, watch out for all my content.